Get started with the plow tank. First of all, appreciate everybody that came. Really appreciate having you here, and thanks for all the people that go out there and too. Basically, we're going to do kind of some basic adjustments on plows here today. Talk about this plow, which is all in 4240. This model is a 216 model. There's a number of things that are common to whether you have Oliver and John here or whatever kind of plow. I hate to say the competition too much, but these were the best ones made. First of all, if you plow, you have a practice, I always recommend having an operating manual. In that, there's a lot of good information, a lot of it. Sometimes things are overlooked. I used to be service manager at John Deere. Why not? Most, because I'd say over 50% of the answers to problems that customers had within operator's manual. Just take us a little time, pre-read it before you use the piece of equipment. Be like with a better deal. Everybody get a handout. If you didn't, just raise your hand if you want. The old hand is all. First page. Start talking about operating perspective. These are copies directly out of the operator's manual to this file. So there's a couple of things you could look at. You could look at your tractor. You could look at your plow later. Set the two up, balance them together. A lot of things that you overlook. Simple things like tire pressure. I made the mistake one time in one of our early plow days. I went out and my curl was tired. Probably had about 5 pounds of pressure in it. Dropped the thing down, but that thing you kind of flat down. That plow was getting off us. It's things you don't think of. Same thing with your tractor, especially if it's not a semi-mounted plow. Back to that tractor is carrying the weight of that plow. One tire a little lower than the other. Depending on very field conditions, you might have that tractor load carrying capacity different. You know, it's going to be low on one side, high on the other side. Might be hard to level that plow. We also talked about tire settings. I know in the full types and the semi-mounted, it's quite important. You don't want to have to set, like a full type, for instance, you don't want to have to set your drawbar a couple holes over in order to fit the tractor in the plow furrow and have your plow follow. Then you're going to have your front end of the tractor trying to sway. So you want to get that done. You want to have tractor width set with back wheels in between. A lot of motor manual, just like this page, talks about the rear wheel setting. Make sure you get the spread as correctly as you can. And if you have a right front axle, center that with the back. Next, we go to a couple of blank pages in there. Thank you to my secretary. But operating instructions, it talks about that, this particular deal. There are a couple things that are wrong with this plow. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to change them, but one of the main things you could look at, especially with some of these full-type plows, is your center of draft. You want this point back here at the back of your head to be centered between the bottoms. This particular one is set way goofy. It's way off to the side. It's really not centered at all. So you want to get that. Yep, right in there or at the center. Now, sometimes you may have to go clear over here with it. So that's a good starting point. Yeah, this hole here. But when you, this is a very important thing because it can change how this plow pulls. Right now, I'd say if you're to one side or another, the way it's put down. Point up here, this is your width of cut. So this point, you can adjust all you want from one side to the other, just to get the plow in the right position on the furrow. You know. But this point back here is very important. That center of draft pull. Now your bigger plows, especially in semi-mounted, it's all preset at the factory. It's set up for it. So you can't do a whole lot of it. But this one here is variable. And if
I know we've had plowing conditions in hard ground where you can't get the plow in the ground for some reason, or once it gets in the ground, it wants to pull to one side, usually veers off to your left because that plow, the draft of the bottom is going to throw it this way, and that can be adjusted a little bit here. Any questions on that? Okay. Like I said before too, your width of cut is adjusted here. So you can do that, move that plow left or right so it follows the furrows. The next point of interest is this point here. You have an up and down in your hitch. You don't want that plow, the front of that hitch, going upwards towards the drawbar. That makes that back bottom probably you want to plow a little on the shallow side. You want to drop this down and have that drawbar going to your tractor at a fairly level or maybe a slightly upward rate. I've seen people on some websites talk about they can't get their back into the plow in the ground. Well, if you're lift like if you've got such an upward pull, it'll tend to run that plow in the back out of the ground for you. It never fails. Any questions on that? Anybody have? When we get to the end of this, if some of you have questions on problems you've had on your plows, you kind of have a question and answer. I'll try to get the answers for you. We'll go from there. Okay, next page. We talk about the width of cut, which we've already done, your vertical and up and down adjustments on your hitch. The other thing, when you go to the field, you got to kind of remember that you've got a 3-point adjustment. I'm not talking about 3-point hitches. I'm talking about plows. Okay, you've got this adjustment, got the depth here in the furrow wheel, you've got your land here, and you got the tail wheel adjustment. What you want to try to do is get that plow when you plow at the depth that you desired depth. You want to have that fairly level side to side and front to rear. That's all in the adjustments between the lever, the hydraulic, and the tail wheel. And once you get that balance and you've got your desired depth, say like you want to plow 6-7 inches, everything will work out. Once you cut your first furrow, you keep this land wheel or the furrow wheel up level, so it takes it down level. Once you get in the furrow, then you got to adjust that. Just kind of keep that in the back of mind. That 3-point field adjustment is one of the things. And it's true whether you've got a pull-type plow or a semi-mounted plow. Semi-mounted plows, you've got a crank on your right-hand 3-point lift that levels that plow with the soil, so it does that. Pull types is 3-point like the here too. So when you look at that plow when it's going down the field, you want to see that thing level, side to side, and front to rear. I see a lot of plow days on YouTube. You watch these things. The plow, either the back end is high and the front end's down, or the vice versa. You look at it side to side from behind, and my goodness, that thing is all cattywampus. And you get a lot nicer furrow and breakup of the soil, and that soil can be rolled over correctly every time. It'll do it. Once you get it adjusted, it's really great. Any questions on that? Okay. On this plow here, and on many plows, you've got the tail wheel adjustment. Oliver is really good for using a set screw or a bolt to maintain your depth. So you can't, it's not buried with a cylinder or anything like that. It comes down, hard hits on that bolt. And once it does, that depth is pretty constant. So once you adjust that bolt, go, point to that square-headed bolt down, back your way. Yep, that's on this particular plow. That bolt is the depth setting bolt. And this semi-mounted plow does the same thing, maybe in a different configuration. But once you get that bolt set for your depth, if you want to be at the tail, that's where it's set. There's also some cam adjustments sometimes. Set your tail wheel so it tips slightly towards the furrow wall when you're going down the field. And then there again, once you get that set, that cam will hold that lift. On semi-mounted plows, there's 2 adjusting bolts that let you tip that wheel one way or another. Same thing. Okay, coulter. I've seen those coulters in various stages of the way. You see them real deep in the ground. You see them shallow in the ground, so they're only maybe cutting an inch. You see them way off to the one way or the land side. You'll see them way out here, cutting. Maybe there'd be 3 or 4 inches between the moldboard and the coulter. And I've seen them cut way on the inside. Ideally, just like the book says, you want them to sight down your plow beam with the coulter. You want them about 3/4, half to 3/4 of an inch on the outside of that bottom. And then your depth, I always set mine fairly low. And up in this part of the country, we just use one coulter, the back coulter. I know down in corner country when I was custom plowing, I used all 6 because it seemed to cover so much better. And if plow sucks in the ground and doesn't want to ride out because of too many coulters, you're okay. If you got a suction problem or your laser wore a little bit, then you maybe take them out so you can maintain that plow depth. Any questions on that part of it? I don't have anything on that, but on the last page there, they've got some plowing guidelines there. Kind of a troubleshooting chart. Some of the operator's manuals have that one. This particular one was in the HPOCA magazine a few years back, and it talks about different problems and how to readjust from them. And I think you guys pretty much know some of the extra equipment you can put on. I know one thing that's quite common in trashy areas when we used to plow, we put cover boards down with preliminary boards, and that's kind of a neat attachment. At our plow day last year, my plow had them, and the other plows didn't. You could see that. I was turning over every speck of straw, and it just makes a world of difference on how that plow looks. So, if your plow, one thing that I found through the years, if your plow doesn't pull straight, and that seems to be a very common complaint with any brand of plow. The service manager at John Deere and mine, we had a brand new plow and 6 bottom. We never did get that plow. I think it was just plain designed wrong. They should have followed all of his recommendations and done that. But anyway, we never could get that plow to work right. It would cut wide all the time. We tried different things. Some of the things that I found that you can do, number one, is long land size. It increases that area of contact from your plow bottom to the side of the wall. And the more contact area you have there, the more chance it's going to pull straight. Another thing I've done, this plow has got what they call full cut lays, full cut shares. This edge right here, if you can see, sticks out. What you're trying to do is make sure that you're cutting all of the land that you're going to turn over, and then maybe a little bit more. I've had to, on one of my plows, I cut this corner off to make it just a regular cut share. And just by reducing that draft of that per pull on 3 or 4 bottoms, and the land side, it makes straighten that plow right. I played with the hitch, done that, and we couldn't get it to pull straight. It's just something that you can add or do. I guess that's one of the couple of main things I've done on that. Yeah. One thing, like Jim says, if you're plowing alfalfa, you want to make sure you get a good kill on the root. Then you want to have a full cut. Through that. I remember plowing in Iowa one time. We had like 5-year pasture and hay ground, and those roots were just like carrots. And we'd pull them, they wouldn't even cut them. They'd just pull out. They sit straight up and down, and probably have to go down the bottom in order to pull it. This particular plow is a tic-tac plow, and if you come around and look at it, there's a roll pin sticking out. And I was looking at that thing and looking at that thing, why is that like that? And I never did figure it out. The book doesn't talk about it. But I'm thinking that if you drive that roll pin in, you're going to stiffen up your trip. You're going to make it so it'll just trip so far if it's going to go. I think it was set like this from the factory. I don't remember. This one is an older plow. I would say it's probably one of the early production of this green wheel, plow. And now you get into the later ones. I never seen no built-ins in there. So, okay, with that, that's correct. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's one way to tell. Yeah, like Jim said, the particular plow got the small tail wheel. From what I hear, these are considered a little bit more on the rare side. I guess I haven't seen that many with the little tail wheel. It depends on the area you're in the dealer how it is sold. But the big wheels seem to carry the plow a little better, maybe something like that. Does anybody have any questions on their particular plow? We're open to questions. Exactly. When I first came to North Dakota, I couldn't figure out. Nobody had holders on. They just had their backs on. They were just plowing stubble mostly. Uh, we always had both folders on, and if you don't have the folder on, it puts extra stress on that shin, the first part of the moldboard. Yes, sir.
I was curious about what year that plow might be, because I've probably never seen 15 on a plow that's old. And I'm wondering if this is maybe another first for all of us.
Well, first of all, you're figuring this has got to be. You remember the early super tractors? They came out green wheel. We're thinking it's in that era. I know the newer plows came with white wheels, and we're thinking this type of plow was made between say 55, 56 through maybe not 58, when they switched over to white. As far as the trip beam, I would say that would depend on the area that this thing was sold to dealer. Say if you didn't have any rocks, they would probably set up solid tank. I know on the newer plows they've got a shear pin tank that's standard that can be put on. I don't know if they were ever offered on these plows. I know where we farmed down in Iowa, we had no rock. I never seen a plow trip, but I got up here in North Dakota and found out different where we were at. I don't know. Yep.
That, you lose the whole plow and the whole road.
These models,
Those automatic 15 are not automatic.
yeah, just to have a trip.
Kind of interesting.
Okay. These plows could have been ordered either way, mechanical lift or hydraulic. This one, we're pretty sure it was a rope trip to start with because of this piece here. It doesn't come with a hydraulic beam. And tree stump, yeah. You're in an area, a lot of tree clearing. Right. Yeah. These older plows, that's another thing that you should probably be looking at. And I'm going to do some work on this one. These pivot points, especially of the lift points, they get wore, and then the bolt kind of fits in their cattywampus. So you probably have a little hole where what I've done is drill them out, go to the next side bolt, grade 8. That worked out pretty good. Then you get that flop out of there and probably maintain more an accurate depth control on the land wheel. Any other questions? Bill?
Jim, you've done a lot of plowing, right? All of them had a hookup.
Okay, that is true.
Talk about that.
In when the 1900 tractors are being developed, they knew they were going to go with a drop control 3-point. Right? So the South Bend engineers were going to try to develop a semi-mounted plow, steerable tail wheel. That was a new concept at the time. Before anything semi-mounted had this pivot wheel. So the engineers between the two factories, as I hear it, got together and developed that semi-mounted 5540, I think was the model number, pipe plow. Yep, semi-mounted plow. And if you look, if you've got some old literature, and maybe you can find it on Google, that was that was the very first steerable tail wheel plow. Another major thing they did, and they kept that point right through the white plows that they made in that semi-mounted type plow. It was the close hookup of that plow to the tractor. If you look at, say, a John Deere plow, for instance, I am not John Deere, but the IH did the same thing. I think maybe Oliver had a patent, but you'd see the stretch. It'd be about one moldboard longer of plow right off the bat on your 3-foot. Well, having that plow hooked up closer, it's just like tractor pulling. The closer you can bring that pull point to the tractor, the more weight you're going to have applied to the back end. And it's going to pull you. And it maintains the depth a lot better because you eliminate a lot of that length that you're trying to pull that plow. And it was a beautiful feature. When I worked for the dealer down home in northwest Iowa back in the 60s, we went out and demonstrated these new plows. And between the lighter draft moldboard and the full hookup, we could always hook out usually a 1/14-inch bottom, bigger plow on the same tractor and pull it. It was just amazing. You guys just would shake their heads sometimes. It was amazing. But it was something that Oliver developed that a lot of times you don't hear a thing about it. Just one of those built-in features that they have. Okay. Anybody else? Another thing with Oliver through the years, I pointed that out at some of my talks that I've done over the years. There were so many things that Oliver was ahead on plowing, and just the chilled process that they did with the moldboards. James Oliver did that back in the 1800s, and the way that worked out. These some areas where they had to get Oliver dealers, that's the only plow that would scour in their soil, these high-clay soils, and everybody got their old plows back in, traded it in for an Oliver, and it was amazing how that got how James Oliver going in the plowing. Okay. Anybody else, Lance? I think so.
You want to take questions?
And if you haven't been inside the main building here, we recommend you go in. There's some of the memorabilia in there. We've got people selling guns. We've got Bill's got a lot of Oliver hardware parts for sale. Our club, Northern Ice Oliver's got a few things there for sale too. So we'd like to promote that and go from there. Okay, thank you so much, Lance.
So, thank you, Dad. So I just want to throw it out there. They do have a tractor pull sled here, weight transfer sled. It's a smaller sled. He said probably try and keep tractors under like 88 or super 88. So if anybody is interested in running a tractor pull here, he's available between 11 and noon. I just have to let him know. It would be located up there by the Menke building with big Knutson's in front of it. But just letting you guys know if you have a tractor here and you're interested in hooking and see what you can do, that's available. Also, I want to remind everybody, I don't know if anybody here, some of you already have, but please vote for your favorite tractor. Any tractor that has the info sheet on it, there's a number on the top corner. Stop by that table and put that number of your favorite tractor in that vote box, and we'll give that award away later today. Thank you.